Hello, glory to God in the highest, and on earth, peace to people of goodwill. My name is Kevin Gregg. Welcome to the show. This is a show that's designed to help you reflect, rebuild, reinvent, reinvigorate your lives according to God's call for your life. I'm very happy to have back on the show Patrick Quinn. Hi, Patrick. How are you?
Hey, Kevin, I'm great.
Good.
Yeah, a little sunburned, but been having a really good time.
You look great. You've got a nice haircut. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Very sharp, very fresh. I've got a little bit of stubble. I'm grateful
Yeah.
that we were able to do this. I was able to sort of clean myself up, but the one thing I wasn't able to do was shave. So there you have it.
It's looking
Um,
rugged. It's good.
for those of you that are joining us with the conversation with Patrick, this is actually my third conversation with him. Just to give you a refresher, Patrick reached out to me a couple of months ago, and he is a performer. He's an artist. He's trying to make a go of it with his career. He's had some successes in the past. He's trying to move forward. Some of those challenges include, hey, I'm a Christian. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this, right? Which is what I talk about on the show. But we've also been slowly unpacking the things that Patrick has been doing for himself as he's been moving forward. So we've been using this as sort of an open dialogue to check in to see how you're doing, to sort of workshop and problem solve and see if there's anything we can discover together, help you discover together. And
Yeah.
also probably issues that we deal with as general as artists, right? And I at times, looking at that through a Christian lens as well. So Patrick,
Yeah.
last time I checked in with you, I know one of the things that we talked about was like those little wins. What are those little things that you can kind of do every day? That was sort of like looking at what the long term picture was going to be for yourself. And I know that before that, we had checked in and talked about some of the voiceover stuff that you had been working on. What's going on, man? Give us an update of what's happening with you.
Yeah. All right. So I'll be very straightforward. This last boy, it's been 2 weeks since we last recorded, I think.
Hmm.
I had some out of town guests come in, so I didn't. I think last time I was on, I set myself the goal with having three more of those little voices set forward, and I didn't plan very well because I had out of town guests coming in that we were hosting together pretty much nonstop this whole time. And I was like, oh, I don't really have a lot of,
Which I have to
yeah,
tell you this, man. This happens consistently, right? Like
right.
I've referred to this many times on even on the other podcast, Your Creative Journey. Uh, have you ever heard of Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art at all? The
I don't
War
think
of
so.
Art.
No.
Okay. I'm going to recommend this to you.
Cool.
The War of Art and also other stuff by Stephen Pressfield is very interesting whenever we make forward motion, that there always tends to be something that comes out of the blue that wants to like knock you off track. Now, Stephen Pressfield refers
Uh-huh.
to it as resistance. Now, I'm going to refer to this, and I do not mean this about your guess, but sometimes I think it's Satan that comes in, right? I think that
Mhm.
when we're on a path, when we're trying to answer what God's calling is for our life and the thing that we're trying to do, I
Yeah.
think that resistance, I think that Satan, I think that whatever comes in and tries to do anything to block us, and sometimes it can
Yeah.
come in very interesting forms, right? Sometimes it can come in interesting forms of which, and we'll get to what the rest of your story is in a second. But sometimes it can get disguised in things that look like, oh, well, but I have to do this, right? I have to
Yeah.
do this. I remember once it's not an art related thing, but they would have Star Wars celebrations, right? They were doing a Star Wars celebration that was happening up here in Los Angeles. I've never gone to a Star Wars celebration. I so wanted to go to the Star Wars celebration. I was ready to go with my younger sons. I was going to do the whole thing. It would have been full day, just down Los Angeles Convention Center.
Yeah.
And then the day before we were supposed to go, got a call out of the blue from a couple of family members saying, "Hey, we're coming into town. We're just only going to be there for this specific amount of time." And people that I love, but it
Hmm.
was like a tendency of, again, the last minute call and when they're showing up. And I had this moment of like, do I bring them with me? And I ended up not going. I ended up not going to that thing.
No.
And I just felt like, and I know well, you did the right thing, but it's like, honestly, looking back in hindsight, it was like going, no, actually, I probably should have gone to the celebration thing with my
Yeah.
sons, because that's something that I wanted to do and create that memory. And
Yeah.
yet I got caught up in the moment of like, yeah, well, it's family and I need to and I should. And so anyway, I'm going completely off a different rail. I am not saying that that is your experience, but I would say that if there's one walk away from this, is that sometimes as we start to focus on doing the things that we want to get done,
Uh-huh.
it's interesting that sometimes something will come out of the blue to say, you got to take care of this instead, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that that's the case, but please continue.
No, I'm just you saying that, it's like when you hear a word and then you learn a word and you start hearing it everywhere. Yeah, looking back, yeah, like every time I've started to get traction in something always comes up. And I never thought of it that way. Yeah, but whether I knock it down right away or let it distract me determines a lot of how quickly I move forward in that time of life.
Well, and resistance isn't a bad thing either, because
Right.
resistance also works as, for example, in muscle strengthening or anything like that. We
Yeah.
need that sort of resistance in order to build ourselves. And I do think that when you see that resistance coming up, it's
Yeah.
usually a good indication of like, oh, I must be on the right track with something.
Uh,
So my point, that another seed that I would put in your head is to go, it's interesting that once you try to get some of these other voiceover things coming up, it's very interesting that these other things kind of come out of the blue, because that might be a very good indicator of like, oh, I must be on to something here,
yeah.
that this other
Yeah.
thing has risen up. So
That's exciting. Yes.
yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. Well, so I've got these out of town guests. And in their case, I think that they're actually helping me get on track with, more importantly, they're some of the people from my tour church.
Great.
When I was on the road,
Great.
we had a
Yeah.
little church that we'd meet up in the hotel room. We just invite them to our room and we'd set up a little live stream of whatever church. I didn't feel confident to give a sermon or anything,
Sure.
obviously. Well, I don't know if that's obvious, but
Well, why? Yeah, why would you say, obviously? I mean,
well, I mean, if I were to lead a sermon or something like that, it would be, well, as I'm saying it, I'm like, that's the way I think it should be. I would be just reading from the Bible and just being like, all right, guys, let's just read what it says here and let's just talk about that.
okay.
um, but yeah, I don't, I haven't studied in seminary or anything. So I don't feel qualified to lead in interpretation of the Bible or anything
Sure.
like that. Just lead as pointing, like lead by example. Look, I'm going to read the Bible. You read the Bible with me. Here we go.
Okay. All
So,
right. No worries.
yeah, I figure that though, like finding a good church was one of our first orders of business while we were there. A good church that had a decent stream, so it didn't feel like pulling out your teeth while you were watching it.
It's so true. It's so true, man. It's such one of the challenges, right?
Yeah,
It's like and I have to deal with it occasionally, where you
yeah,
just kind of go, and I think that God's trying to teach me a lesson, which is like, all right, God, please just give me this patience, and
yeah.
please help me extract what it is. If the lesson I'm supposed to be learning is about the patience with this person, okay, so be it.
Mhm.
So anyway, I get it. So these are people
Yeah,
that you knew from
yeah.
your church and all that stuff. And
Yeah. And so it was really, really great to see them again, especially with some of those shows potentially coming back soon. And so we went out into the desert and we stayed in the guest house and just we've got a family friend who's just got this beautiful, huge house, and they were kind enough to let us use their extra rooms. And so we were able to hang out there and just we challenged each other to all sorts of great stuff. So since I've seen you, I've begun learning. Oh gosh, as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, I'm so distracted with everything. But I think they're good little distractions.
Your hobbies. These are new hobbies. You've
Hobbies.
discovered new hobbies, right?
Yes.
You're not
Yes.
get whatever you're about to tell me, you're
Uh-huh.
not about to go off into a specific career with, but you discovered
Right.
some new hobbies. What were some of these new awesome hobbies you discovered?
Uh, Interesting that you said hobbies with that. I'm learning Hebrew.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
Yeah. With there's the little Duolingo, a little
Yeah, of course.
translator app thing,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm only a week into it, but yeah, I'm learning Hebrew.
Hey man,
Um,
that's okay. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's all stuff that what are you doing? You're flexing your brain.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just went through this with I actually just went through this recently with Spanish because I was like,
Mhm.
I taught religious education to junior high school kids at St. Charles Borromeo for over 10 years, for probably
Yeah,
10 or 11 years. And big challenge that we have up in the North Hollywood Studio City area is we have a large Latino community, but a lot of Mexican immigrants and a lot of, families where the parents don't speak English at all. And I
uh,
just thought, I got to learn Spanish. I got to learn Spanish. And I had this idea where I thought, well, let me start to do it. And I started picking up Duolingo
yeah.
and I started doing it. I'm sorry. I think I'm going to sneeze. I thought I was going to
Let's-
sneeze.
oh, what a fake out, man.
Sorry. It's close. No deal. So I started picking up Duolingo and like I went through it for like like I was consistently doing it. And you know what my
Mhm.
biggest problem was? My
Huh.
biggest problem was and I was doing great and I was getting the vocabulary and everything, but then I realized, oh, I'm not doing this with like a purpose. Like I have no,
Oh,
like right now, I'm currently not teaching junior high stuff. So I'm not normally exposed to people that use English as a second language or don't have English as a language.
yeah,
I'm working in other different ministries that don't do that. And I
yeah,
realized like, oh, I have no plan to like I'm not going to Mexico and like immerse myself in the culture for like 2 or 3 months where I would just
right.
absolutely have to do it. And so I finally got to a point because I was like logging so much time doing it. I eventually had to go, I got to put it down. So
Hmm.
I'm not saying this is the case. I can't wait for you to immerse yourself in Israeli culture. So there we go.
Yes. Yeah. To me, actually, that was one of the other things that we started doing. We started a plan to read the Bible cover to cover together. So we just decided the four of us were going to set onto that schedule. So that's exciting. And while we were reading it, we kept having discussions about what we were reading. And then one of us would say, oh, in the original Hebrew, because you heard it from somebody else, from a sermon or something.
Right.
And then I was just thinking, boy, like we always have to hear about that from somebody else, the translation
Yeah.
intricacies, and like what the little things about it. And I'm like, well, shoot, let's get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
If I learn Hebrew, I can read at least several of the books of the Bible. I forget
Yeah.
how many languages it's written
Hebrew,
in the
Greek,
original.
Aramaic.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I mean,
I
there's
figured
obviously
I'd
been
start with
Latin
that.
translations as well, but
Mm-hmm. Boy, yeah, I think I'll try to get Hebrew first and then get to Latin eventually.
I will warn you. I did
Yeah.
4 years of Latin in high school,
Oh
and
yeah.
I don't remember a word of it at all. Sum est, sumus estis sunt. That's about all I know. That's the
Yeah.
conjugation of the verb to be. That's what I remember.
Ah,
So
yes.
anyway,
Did Shakespeare write in Latin?
no, 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 no. Yield English. Um, good. So you did this. You hung out with your friends. You had the vacation stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
started studying a little bit of Hebrew. What happened with the voiceover stuff?
Yeah. So I brought I didn't actually bring my whole nice expensive mic with me out into the desert.
Sure.
But I did bring my little interface, which is a little Apogee one, and it's got its own mic
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah. Right.
So I had the capabilities to record.
Yeah.
The problem was we were just pretty much sun up to sundown, just nonstop interacting
Yeah.
with our friends and
Yeah.
just living life like that. And so I didn't have time to sit down. Well, I could have made time, but I wanted to. I wanted to start working, and my wife encouraged me. Hey, look, we're on vacation.
Sure.
You can take a break on this. Like, I know you're excited to do this. I know it's not going to fall by the wayside. Let's just relax on vacation. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah. While we're here right now. And it's,
I think that that's an important thing. I have to learn this for myself on a regular basis. I actually just talked about this on another podcast the other day. I went out of town for a couple of weeks and really just like put all of the work and everything aside and had like a true rest and refreshment. I had to learn this thing recently. Kate, myself, and our other son, Duncan, we went on a road trip through several states.
Yeah.
And it was around Duncan's spring break. And I thought, well, let me do this as a experiment to see if can we travel and can I also do remote work with some of my freelance clients. And my hope had been while we were traveling that I was going to be able to get about 40 hours of, work done a week while I was out. I got like maybe 16 hours of work done. And it was just that moment of going, oh, gotcha. Got it. I need to fully, see, this is the stuff that I hope to help you, maybe give some guidance with your wife or not. You can throw it away. I don't care. But like really, there's the fine difference, right? Because I thought I was so clear in my communication to my wife about what we were doing. We're going to do this road trip. Amazing. This is what and I know that I said it at least once or twice.
Yeah.
Great. This gives us an opportunity of me working remotely as we travel and we see all this stuff. So in my mind, it was the idea of like, great, we're going to drive to a place. We'll get to go somewhere. I'll get to work for a little while. Maybe you and Duncan can head out for a while from the hotel, and then we can go out and see some other stuff. That's not what happened at all. Right. It was like, instead it would turn into, 12 hours of me driving, and like all this other stuff. And then getting to the hotel and going, hey, I need to work. Yeah, but we need to get dinner. We need to do all this other stuff. And you just go, got it. And of course, Kate would get like, I was literally even taking like conference calls at one point, Zoom meetings in the car while I was driving.
Are you driving?
Like they're like, muted my video and saying, dashboard. Guys, I'm here with you. I'm listening to what's going on. And at times Kate kind of going, we're on vacation. And I went, we're on vacation? Are we on vacation? Because we did. I mean, I know that we're on this thing, but I also said this is a great, right? So it was a thing of realizing like, oh yeah, I communicated that to you a couple of times.
Yeah.
But you also had a very clear vision of what this was going to be. And we both had very clear visions of what this was going to be. And anyway.
And oh yeah.
Not a bad thing that your wife is saying. Not a bad thing that your wife is saying of like going, hey, we're on vacation. And again, getting very clear of like going, here's the work and here's the vacation. And if it's the vacation, boom, I'm in it. I'm with you. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yes. And and that's exactly it. I just didn't I guess our expectations of it didn't match up right away. Yeah. But
did it resolve itself pretty well? I mean, obviously it was a thing of just like going, you know what? Good. We're here. Great.
Yeah. Like I struggled with being ashamed of myself a little bit for not having worked on it. And then I'm like, no. It's okay to take a vacation. That's right. And then I will do it when I get back. I'm going to hit it hard and I'm not going to feel bad, whatever, like trying to like psych myself through it. But yeah. So we did all that. We just got back a couple of days ago. Then we went into the parks just reopened recently.
Fantastic. The Disney parks, for those of you that are listening.
Yeah. And I got to see a lot of old friends who are working in there. And it was so encouraging to see live performance coming back. Yeah. And
amazing, right?
Oh man.
I just saw a commercial the other day. I just saw a commercial where they were advertising the parks and then they were advertising the Avengers campus stuff. Yeah. And then it's a commercial, which is so like the timing of this right now is like mask mandates have gone away here in California for a lot of things. And even on the commercial, like you're seeing people without masks. And I went, that's awesome. But I did say, I wonder if they shot an alternative in case something had happened.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I had this happen in Ralph's up in Studio City the other day. I was like walking in, and as I was walking, it was right after the mask mandates had dropped. And I walked in. I know, private businesses can request whatever they want. I was walking in on one door. It said mask required. And I thought, okay. And then I ended up going in through another door at this Ralph's, and it had a little red strip that said, vaccinated customers are not required to wear masks. And I just went, and I walked in and I looked around. At first, everybody around me had masks on. All the way in the back, I saw a dude that had his mask off, and I was with my son Duncan. I took it off. It was amazing. It was so
It's
good.
so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, we showed up day before yesterday because we did Tuesday in one park, Wednesday in the other park. Yeah. And we showed up and we had our masks and we're all ready because my wife and I had been to Disney World a month or so ago, visiting Florida, and it was masks the whole time. And we showed up, we were ready for that. And as we're getting out of our car, we're looking around like, oh, most people aren't wearing their masks right now. Okay, yeah. I guess we don't have to put them on yet. So we enjoyed that, walked in. As we're walking, we're going through security, and I'm like, they should have told us to by now, and we're still good. And so I pull up my phone and I'm looking. Apparently they dropped the mandate like that day when we went on Tuesday, I think. Right. And it was just such a blessing. Oh man. Right. And and I guess they lifted like everything that day, it looks like. And
there's something with this, like seeing people's faces are just amazing.
Yes.
It's just amazing.
Oh,
it's so good to be able to talk to people.
Yeah.
Now listen, Patrick, I'm not going to go too far down this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go off on this for a second, just because I have you here, and you don't have to answer this, but I'm going to use this as a mini platform. So I hope we don't get canceled. So anyway, I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to say this to my audience that happens to be watching. Let's treat people with love and kindness as we're doing this. Okay. And one of the things that kind of came out for me during this experience was going, oh, I'm in Ralph's. I'm in Ralph's. And I know in my area, particularly in Los Angeles and Studio City, I know that there's a lot of people that are vaccinated. And I know that there's a lot of people that are still wearing their masks and they're scared. Okay. So this is not to make a judgment call on them to go. I think it's about loving people to go, hey, let's step forward without the fear. Okay. I say as I think I'm going to sneeze again. I think I'm going to sneeze. Here it is. Boy,
Bless
sure.
You.
Thank you. I made that entire comment with all that stuff. So here's the deal there's a lot of people are scared as they're moving forward. Okay.
Yeah.
And then here's the other side of this. There's going to be a number of people in this country that aren't going to get vaccinated. And I truly do think that's okay too.
Yeah.
That these people are going to have their reasons for doing it for just a number of reasons. This is all I'm going to say, and I'm going to get off of it. Number one, they may have already contracted COVID and they may legitimately have antibody buildup that's there.
Yeah.
They may be somebody that's like my dad, who's had Guillain-Barré syndrome and has been told by his doctor, probably you getting it is not a good idea. It's probably going to trigger some other stuff.
Yeah.
And there's probably also going to be people that are out there that are hesitant about this, and that there's other options that are out there that if you do the research, you can find it. This is the last word I'm going to say on it. Ivermectin. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much. Google it, look it up. Ivermectin. Do research with Brett Weinstein and all that stuff. There are options that are out there. My biggest thing with all of that is just about loving people through this. Just loving people through it and not shaming people or getting angry or any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
And if you happen to run into somebody that does want to wear a mask, okay, that's great. Yeah. That gives you an indication of where they are. It's not a judgment call on that. It's like going more than anything else. It's about just treating them with love,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, sorry. I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to contribute to that, but please.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think just going along the lines of treating people with love and respect, this is such a hot topic right now that whether you wear a mask or don't wear a mask, wherever, people see it as this big statement.
Right.
And maybe it is, but in some cases, but pre-COVID, if you saw somebody walking around with a mask, you wouldn't get mad at them. Or if you saw somebody walking around without a mask, you wouldn't get mad at them. It's just like, let each person make the call. They have the information on their life. Let them make the call for them,
Correct.
and I'm all about that. For all maybe they are sick, and so they're wearing the mask so they don't sneeze out into the world, and that's good. I have personally been frustrated about the idea that the mask keeps you safe. I'm like, I'm not sick. This is going to hold. Yeah.
I do. I really get it.
But like, yeah, I've got some friends and family who are very close to me who are very fired up. Honestly, it goes both ways. I'm very fired up on one side of the aisle about the other side and how blind they are, and they just listen to what they're told, and they don't check their sources and stuff. And then I see some of them blindly listening to what they're told just from other sources and not checking their sources. And so I always just tell them both the same thing, and I try to do the same thing myself. Like, listen and then check. Look it up. Look up several sources. Try to find 3 that agree with your point of view and 3 that disagree with your point of view.
That's it.
And hey, yeah.
Steel man it. And it is, it's these things of like, we're trying to sift through. It's a challenge that we also have as artists, right? Like the stuff, and I'm sorry, I'm taking up a part of your time talking about this.
No, I love it.
But part of this is also about us learning when to disseminate stuff. Talk again about versions of resistance or other things that can come in that can fog us and that can distract us, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much time am I spending dwelling or thinking about these things, and it's completely pulling me off of my call and what my focus is supposed to be?
Yeah.
What my call and my focus is supposed to be. And that's a big thing that I have to realize, is to go, hold on a second. Is this in line with what I'm supposed to be doing? Right.
Yeah.
Or is the fact that I need to be kind of like reshifting myself and going, anyway, back to my work, back to my art, back to the thing I'm supposed to be creating,
Yeah. Well, I didn't consider that.
It's strange, because I really do think that we've got so much stuff that's trying to shout for our attention.
Yeah.
Right? So much stuff that's trying to shout for our attention. And we should be informed. I'm not saying to be an ostrich and put your head in the sand and not know what's going on. But we do need to be aware of what's going on with the world, be able to quickly ascertain it, right? And to your point, to be able to see the things, I go to a website that's called allsides.org, which deals with
sides.
left, neutral, and right takes on subjects. And and then just try to get it. And then I go to other sources and then try to do that. But really, it really is about this much of my life, right? Like, how much is the stuff that I can actually control? So I don't know. I think that's a good thing for artists to be aware of, because we can be such empathetic, emotional sponges, right? Like, that's part of the thing, especially if you're a performer or you're somebody that's like, this is your trade. Your trade is about dealing in emotional experiences for people. And so you tend to be empathetic or sympathetic to so much stuff, and you can be a sponge that way. And we just have to be careful that it's not stuff that's, you're overstoked with stuff that you don't need. That's actually, it's bogging you down.
Yeah. And that's reminding me of our last chat about my rabbit trails, my little my hobbies that are just for fun, and the things that are worth pursuing this much energy and time, and this much energy and time, and this much energy and time, and giving them up. Yeah. That reminds me of a conversation I had with my brother just recently. He's a very intelligent, very competent man, and he's similarly to me loves going after all these different hobbies. And we were just lamenting how there are so many things where, like, if I had the time and it was wise to put in the time, I could become very competent at this thing. And, like, whether it be, plumbing, so I never have to call a plumber again. If I could just fix my toilet, or like, if I could be a really good cook, and, all these things were like, if you put in the energy and the time, you could do it, and the money, you could actually become very competent at it, and deciding what's worth putting the time into.
Well, there's a guy also named Greg McKewon who has this
Okay.
book called Essentialism, which I've talked about. Um, and he actually has this real he has this great take on it, which falls in line with trying to discover what is that thing that we really, really, really excel at, and trying to
Uh,
find what that thing is. And
yeah.
he loves to give the little diagram of I'm not going to pull it up right now, but he loves to give the little diagram of a circle, and then
Uh-huh.
there's a thing that's got like 30 little arrows that are going around it, right?
Okay.
And they're only about, like, maybe a quarter of an inch out, all pointing around. They're all pointing up and around. And he says sometimes we're doing this, like we're doing all of these different things at the same time. He says, if you
Yeah.
were to take all of that energy and find the thing that you really wanted to concentrate, really focus on the most, and then he shows another diagram that has the one circle and it's got one arrow that's going all the way out, right?
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that he uses, this is actually a great thing that we can bring into our conversation. One of the techniques that he uses for himself is he uses a percentage game for himself. And it's this: hey, if I were to ask you if you wanted to work on this project that I'm offering you,
Yeah.
what percentage would you feel like doing it? Now, I've had this happen before in the past. I was approached with a independent short film that I was going to be the lead on, but when I took a look at the script, I just went, it's okay. It's okay,
Yeah.
but it's an opportunity that I can be a leading man in a thing, and let's do it. And
Yeah.
when I looked at it, if somebody were to ask me, what is your percentage of how you feel like you want to do it? And you go, you know what? I feel like 60%. I feel like 60%, like, let's do it.
Mhm.
And most of us would think, well, 60%, that's greater than 50%. So that's on the positive side. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Greg McKeown's attitude is to go, yeah, but what if that was a college test now? And you
Ooh.
looked at that grade? That's a D- decision that you just made. A
Huh.
D- decision. And you go, holy smokes.
Yeah.
And then his percentage, he says, I try to focus on things where I feel 90% or above. They need to
Huh.
be A life decisions for myself. And I
Yeah.
remember having this moment. I'll be transparent. My last several years, here we go. It's going to come back and get me. My last several years as a performer at Disneyland, um, I could tell like things were changing for myself. Like things were changing for myself, and I knew that I needed to go. There was a specific project that I was working on a consistent basis that I seriously felt every time when I showed up, it just felt like a C- life decision when I was getting out of the
Mm.
car. It was a C- life decision. Yes. Was I making money? Was I having insurance? Did I have all this stuff? But every time I went in there, I just felt like this is a C- life decision for me.
Yeah.
And, by that time I knew that I was going to move on and set deadlines and all that stuff for me. But that was
Mhm.
that was a guideline that I started using for myself. It's like, what are those things that are, do I say that I'm continually successful with it? No, but it's like that 90% and above. And it's usually that feeling that's like, it's like that. It's a version of that excited and scared version that you have. I think we've talked about
Mhm.
it before, like that scare segment thing that Bonnie Utley talked to me about. Like, what's the thing that makes me go, oh man, this is like, can I do this? I feel super excited about it. Yeah, that's what I need to go towards. And that doesn't mean that that's always just an incredibly positive emotion. We know that there's work that's involved with it too,
Mm.
but it's that 90% or above. Um, I don't
Mm.
know if that resonates with you, or I don't know if like talking with you, if that would be a tool that might help you to disseminate some of the stuff
Yeah.
that you're doing.
I think it'll take some practice for me to implement it, but that excites me as an idea. I think that it is a 90% plus idea of something I want to do. Yeah, I'm now I just have to think about
Sure.
delineating the activities in my life and then reassessing each one
Sure.
that takes up a significant portion of my time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the thing that we talked about before, which is about you trying to put these things in these different categories, right?
Yeah.
Like, is this a thing that I'm using as like fun and it's a hobby thing, or is this a thing, again, like the milestones I use for yourself, which is like, am I willing to put in my time and energy for this for my career with this thing that we're talking
Mhm.
about right now, or is this, I think a lot of this, Patrick, is about just like disseminating those things, or like what's falling into that pocket of like, it's not a hobby, it's not a hard no, it's not a
Yeah.
hard no, this isn't a hobby. What are those things that keep consistently falling into this? Yeah, this is the stuff that I want to actively pursue, and out of those things I want to actively pursue, which of those feels like the one that I really want to focus on the most, that goes into that 90% range?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think that it serves as a domino. I really do. Because I think that when we start doing this, we're getting a little bit closer to saying, okay, well, here's the thing that I've really got the skills and the ability and to move this forward.
Mhm.
And listen, I'm finding this consistently with this podcasting stuff that I do. Like, this is a
Yeah.
thing that I consistently do. I do this really well. Like, I've been doing this since, some people may highly disagree, and that's all right.
Uh-huh.
But I've been doing some version of this since like 2009. Like, there's been some version of this where I just go, oh, okay, yeah, I can totally do this. And this is easy and this is fun and this is great. Let's do it.
Uh,
Um, but what's that one thing out of the stuff that keeps falling into this category of like, yes, I could totally see myself pursuing this and moving
mhm.
forward. So just some thoughts.
Yeah.
So what's the follow-up? So now what's the follow-up with the voiceover stuff?
Follow up with the voiceover stuff.
Yeah, the little voiceover clips and stuff that you were doing on Instagram.
Like this, like what I want
Yeah.
to do
Did
moving
you end
forward
up
from
did
here.
you end up coming back? Did you end up coming back and doing a few more of those, or what's going on? Are you in the middle of doing those right now?
Oh no, I want to continue doing those now. I'm going to start writing them. Our guests are leaving, I believe it is tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, I've got a little bit of time now because we're out of that guest house, so we're not living in the same house as them anymore. They're staying in my parents' extra rooms right now.
Great.
So I've actually got a little bit of time where I can do my own thing for a little bit. Um, and I've got my actual setup here again. Uh,
Fantastic.
so I'm excited to bang a couple of those out because yeah, I still have in my inbox. I've still got several people have sent me these little suggestions and requests for me to do voices, and I want to get to them. And yeah, so I'm excited to move forward.
And I can't encourage you enough with that, because again,
Yeah,
that's something that you can do immediately. It's something
yeah,
that you have control over.
yeah.
I'm going to say it again on here.
Mhm.
I'm saying this to you because I'm going to follow up with the stuff that I need to do as well.
Oh, cool.
Let's make a commitment to each other while we're here on this.
Yes.
And I don't know if we're going to, well, we're not going to get right to it. We still got some time.
Mhm.
Um, I will say this: it would be great for you to record a couple more of those, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just going to throw out some ideas, and then you can say, Kevin, no. Right.
Okay.
But then the other idea is, how do I put that together in some sort of a portfolio? And how do I
Yeah.
investigate things like, just as examples, Upwork or Fiverr or anything
Right.
like that? Like, where is a place that, okay, great, I've got these things now on Instagram, which is great. Now, where is this now where I'm putting it into a place where I've actually got like a public market that I can do
Yes.
this?
Right.
Because that would be, again, I'm speaking for myself on this, Patrick. I am saying something and you can say, that's not my plan. That's not my idea. But this is stuff
Okay.
that sparks for me. Even you getting a simple $20 voiceover gig on
Uh-huh.
Fiverr would be a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like even
Agreed.
where somebody says, great, we need a commercial or whatever, and we're going to pay $20 for it. Right.
Yeah.
And I know there's a whole bunch of union actors. They're like going, what are you talking about? How dare I
Yeah.
have to tell you why I say this. Let me talk about the actors. Talk to you for a second. Actors that are out there that are listening to this. I understand. I understand why there exist union organizations. Union organizations exist because at some point in the past, somebody has done bad business practices. They have. They really have. Also, I get it that there is some version of prestige that comes with union rates and all of that other stuff. Absolutely. Totally get it. But you also got to put in the time and you got to pay the dues. Like you got to put in the time and you got to pay the dues and you've got to show, you got to prove the merit of what you bring to the table. Okay? Um I remember being in a scenario years ago with a friend of mine where I just thought, "Oh, we're like this is like diametrically opposed views on how this stuff should go." Love this guy dearly. I really do. I think he's awesome. But I remember once we were in a point we were trying to start a theater company together, he and I.
Oh, cool.
And I remember one of the conversations was about like, how do we get the funding? How do we get all this stuff? And this was happening in, oh, I want to say like the mid 90s. I would say the mid 1990s.
Mhm.
And I remember my buddy saying, well, we just need to do a grant and then somebody just needs to give us money. And I was going, well, what we actually have to do is we actually have to do work and show the proof of what we can do. And then we can get money from that. Right. Like
Yeah.
I'm not against like trying to write grant money to, to get stuff,
Right.
but it shouldn't just be based on like, this is what I think it should be. And now give me money. Right. So I
Right.
wouldn't do that. If
It's
somebody
not just a
walked into me and
concept.
said, I've got a great idea. Well, ideas are nonsense. Sorry, everybody's got ideas. I'm sorry, everybody has ideas. I've got a
Yeah.
great idea. So does everybody else.
Mhm.
Everybody else has great ideas. What are you actually doing with that idea? What are you doing to bring that into life? What are you making to have that happen? If you were showing me that you're not, because ideas are a thing. You can sit around eating a bag of Cheetos and drinking Coke all day and just going, I got ideas, ideas, ideas.
Right.
If you don't do, honestly, man, that drives me crazy. We see this in any church organization or whatever, right?
Huh.
You know what you ought to do is it's always the person that's saying, you know what we really should be doing is we should be doing this. And then they don't do anything about it. And what was it? I love the formation of Celebrate Recovery out of Saddleback Church, right? John Baker, who was a recovering alcoholic, he'd been going through
Oh yeah.
12-step programs, and he realized like, there really should be like there should be a 12-step program that really recognizes that Jesus Christ is our higher power. Not just that there's a higher power, but like Jesus Christ is our higher power.
Yeah.
And then he went to Rick Warren and he wrote a letter to Rick Warren at Saddleback Church, and he took a meeting with Rick Warren, and Rick Warren said, this sounds like a great idea. Go do it. Like basically like, went back to the person and said, great. If you have the idea, then it must mean that you should be the one that's doing it. So anyway, I say all of this going back to our Upwork and Fiverr example,
Yeah.
which is, I know that there's people out there and creatives that are out there. Well, I just want to get recognized. Well, then do the hard work.
Yeah.
Do the hard work and prove what your value is.
Mhm.
And if you're getting little $5 or $20 gigs or whatever, you're building up your portfolio. And then people again start recognizing what you bring to the table, what your value is. And now you get to be in the driver's seat to
Yeah.
decide what you are going to do and what you aren't going to do. One of the biggest turning points for me, especially when I was doing my acting, the biggest lesson that I had to learn was to say no. because I get approached by so many people, especially as actors. You get so many people that want you to work on their projects for free. They just do. They just do. And it's the worst thing that you can say to an actor is like, I've got this project and you'd be perfect for it. You'd be perfect for it. That might well, that is like that's like the, you know, the sirens calling, come to us, come drive your ship into our rocks, right? You know, and there can be some very tempting things. But I finally had to start getting to a point of like realizing that I did all of my free work for a while. And then you start to realize like, oh no, my time is valuable. And then you transition to the, I'm not going to be doing free work. And then you're doing like the small paid work. And then after a while you start realizing, oh, I can also start turning away from the small paid work and I can go to the larger paid work. So
yeah.
My point with go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh yeah, no, it's basically just reaffirming what you're saying. Yeah, I worked in a couple that were just free community theater things, and then I started getting slightly bigger, civic light opera, still sort of community theater, but they give you a stipend now, and and just little steps and in the midst of my more recent stunt type work, I had a friend that I'd worked on a film with who was all excited. She's doing a community theater show. And she says, look, we need the leading guy and we think that you're perfect for it. And I'm like, oh, you don't say. and I don't want to say I fell for it because I don't think she was trying to trick me, but it felt like I fell for it by the time the show was over.
No.
I went in there and
but those lessons are valuable, right?
Yeah.
Like that lesson's super valuable.
Yes. Yeah, I've since turned down several projects of that nature. And I've got sort of a new, not exactly standard. It's not so hard and fast as a standard, but a new thing that I look for. I look to make sure that I am at least not the most professional person in the room. Like I'm trying to be the most professional person.
Can I tell you something? What a great standard to set for yourself. That that excited me a little bit to go, please make sure. It's like, I only rent a house, but I know this about purchasing a house. Don't be the most expensive house on the block, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're the most expensive house on the block, you're not gonna, the chances of your value going up, it's not good. It's usually not good. And also the same thing you said is like, if you're in a room and you go, I'm the person with the most skill and expertise and talent here, this shouldn't be the case. Gosh, what a great, wow. Don't be right. I need to be in the room with people that are also more talented than me. Whew. Wow, what a great standard, buddy. I love that.
Thank you.
I love that.
I was on a TV set recently that was that situation. I increasingly looked around and realized I think I might have mentioned it to you before. I'm background on this, and people are noticing me because I'm more professional than the principals and than anybody else in here. And I'm like, and they started elevating me through the cast. And it wasn't a show that I necessarily wanted to be more than an extra on. And so, getting ready to have that conversation with the casting director, because they gave my character a name and they gave me more scenes, and it seemed like they might even be giving me a role. And I'm like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't believe that this show will be honoring to God.
Yeah, right. Totally.
And I was okay with being a background in it. And that was actually, I was on that show when I messaged you.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, boy, how do I decide this? Because I took this on as background. It was just, I was going to be an office worker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, regardless of what show it is, I can be a background office worker. That's fine.
Yeah.
But then just bloop, 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 up the steps. And I'm like, oh, if they want me to be a character on this show, from watching this show, I'm fairly certain I don't want to be that. But
Wow.
yeah. And so just decisions, like in that case, it was just a slow step. Just each day I came in, they're like, hey, we liked what we saw from him. Let's give him more screen time. Let's give him a name. Let's give him characters are talking to his character. And it seems if the show takes off, I wonder if they will keep pushing it forward. I don't know. Well,
that's a hard one, buddy. That's a hard one, right? Because it's just like you're in this fine line of just, again, this is the challenge that we face, right? As Christians, as believers, especially in current media, where there's stuff where you go, I don't agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Like I actually don't believe in that, and I can't do that. You know? Whew.
And yeah, so I'd been accepting background roles because I figured, oh, background roles, they won't give me all the information I want for whatever roles I'm going for. So if I go just background roles, it doesn't matter so much what the content is because I know I'm not going to be in a group nudity scene or something where they'd have to tell me. So I'll just be background, and that way I can be a little bit more hands off, and I don't have to worry so much about them putting me in a position that would be dishonoring. Yeah.
God bless you, buddy.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? Because it's like you all of a sudden you just kind of go, it's you start making these compromises, right? You start making these compromises of like, and I just talked about this recently too. Another thing, I've been there. I've been in those auditions where I've been asked to do stuff, and I've had to have the hard moment of saying, no, I can't do that. I can't do that because it's actually against what I do. It's against what I do. It's against what and literally you have people just looking at you like their jaws open, like kind of going, what? Now, I had a friend of mine. I think there's two things here, and then we'll wrap it up in just a second. But I had a friend of mine who he shall go unnamed, but he's done a lot of work. But he was getting called in consistently, and again, this is sort of like early 2000s, but a lot of these kind of like murder shows, serial murder shows, like all this type of stuff that was out there. And he was kind of showing up consistently for this one show. They kept calling him back in time and time again. And, the roles that they kind of kept bringing him in for was like major stuff, but it would usually be like, yeah, I'm the wholesome dad that I actually, he murdered his daughter and stuff. And, the arc of the story is like, but the arc of the story is that the guy gets caught. But unfortunately, it just like really focuses on like the grisly, gratuitous, despondent, despairing stuff, right? It's and you got to watch that, right? It's like, okay, yeah, the hero wins, but holy smokes, I feel like crap at the end of this show, right?
Yeah.
My friend had to make a decision where he had to turn down a major role. He said, I know, I get this is a high profile show. It'd be great for my career, but I can't do it. And he told me that the casting director said, like out of the blue, the casting director said, you know what? I really admire that you're doing that because I've now been working on this show for a couple of years, and this is really hard on me. Like all I have to do, like all I'm doing is I'm looking to cast people in these roles of these grisly, horrific murders. And you can tell like it takes a toll, right?
Yeah.
It's honestly, man, I'm gonna give you the best comparison, man. It's again, it's a reminder for me. It's a reminder for me for certain things. I've got a funny feeling that they're coming my way. I got a funny feeling, Patrick. I've just had this feeling that's been coming up where I'm going to have to be saying some hard no's about some stuff.
Yeah.
There's going to be some carrots that are going to be dangled my way. Just a feeling, not a fact, but a feeling.
Yeah.
It's like the woman that says, well, I'm just going to do stripping gigs while I'm in college or while I'm in my 20s.
Mhm.
and I'm going to make all of my money, and then I'm going to get out. Like that's the equivalent of what it is. And then the idea is like, okay, well, what's your number, right? And so the number is like, well, if you get $150,000 or whatever amount. But the problem is that, okay, sure, you may make the money, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost because you're completely getting in that case, well, I'm just stripping my way through college, or I'm just stripping my way until I get to 23 and then I'm out, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is what's happening. You're being consistently degraded. You got tons of eyeballs that are on you. You're around elements where you're so susceptible to abuse, drug addiction, any of that other stuff. Like the chances of you getting out of it unscathed are pretty slim.
Yep.
They're pretty slim. And then the bigger question is, what happens when you have a kid and you have a daughter, and then it's 10 or 15 years down the line, and then that information comes back to haunt you, or somebody finds out?
Yeah.
And what are you telling your 15 or 16-year-old daughter when you don't want her to do the same thing or go the same route? Okay. So that's the example that I would give you. And the example that I have to give myself is to go, well, I'm looking at what the bigger picture is. Or if I do this, and the only thing I can say is, but it's the equivalent of the girl saying, well, I'm just going to strip my way through college. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And the fact is that the chances of you coming out of it unscathed are pretty nil. I just think that this is why we as Christian artists have to continue moving the needle forward. We have to continue moving the needle forward of creating content that, yes, Christian content that points people towards the gospel, points people towards the Great Commission, points people towards the kingdom of God. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we can also make fun, entertaining, lighthearted content that doesn't prop up evil, promiscuous, perversion, dread, to any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. As much as media companies or corporations are saying, well, this is the only thing that sells. I don't buy that for a second.
Yes.
I don't buy that for a second. And I have to use the perfect example I have to give you right now is exactly what's happening with mainstream media or corporate media, and like what's happening now with like independent news people that are on, YouTube or the internet, right? Like there's a whole bunch of like really, really good investigative journalists that are out there that are not associated with mainstream media or corporate media,
Yeah.
and like,
Exciting.
or legacy media, like all of these people are going, oh, where are all our viewers going? They're going where the market is.
Yeah.
And I think that if we as Christian artists continue to put that type of stuff, I do think that you'll see, because I know that I want it. I want it. I know you want it. There's a number of other people that I know in my circles that they want it. I'm sorry, man. I can't tell you the amount of times I'm watching a show or something like that and I just go, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like I literally went to a movie theater for the first time, and I went with, my son Duncan just graduated from school, and so he wanted us to go see that Spirit animated cartoon movie.
The horses.
Right? Yeah, that's it. He loves it. I don't know. He's hooked on it for some reason. Like, this is great. We get to go. And then right away, like the commercials before we even get to the movie stuff, they're all like agenda. It's like all agenda stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there in the movie
like
theater and going, come on, man. Come on. Please stop proselytizing me with your stuff. Stop, please. I'm just here to see a movie with my kid, right? Like, can I please just get to that and let's stop the other junk?
Yeah.
So I'm a consumer that's out there that wants to partake of stuff, and I can't find it in the market.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you've heard of Pureflix. It's a streaming service. Yeah.
Sure.
My parents love it. and I love the idea of it. And then I'll try to sit down and watch some of them with them, and I'm like,
I know.
I don't know if
I
I'm
know.
just being really
No,
my
no,
standards are too high or something.
no, no. You know what it is, Patrick? It's literally, it's the same thing that can happen with the same. And I talked about this on another show as well. I'm sorry, this is my last thing and I got to wrap up. I got to do some
Okay.
stuff, but it's these two things.
Hmm.
It's literally what you see with poorly done. I don't want to say poorly done, but not well crafted Christian film and television. There is a correlation that happens between poorly executed Christian film and television
Uh-huh.
as there is with leftist progressive media. Okay. And they
Uh-huh.
share a commonality. And the
Okay.
commonality is that they're both doing versions of propaganda. They're doing versions of propaganda. And I
Yeah.
say this with all due respect.
Yeah,
When you are
no.
doing something, when you are delivering something specifically in art, Jordan Peterson talks about this a little bit, but
Mhm.
when you're delivering something specifically in art, art is a medium that the observer of it is looking for the beauty and the truth and those things that really touch like part of the human experience. And when
Yes.
you do that really well, you just go, wow, this really ties in, right?
Yeah.
When you try to have a specific message and you basically like Frankenstein it on top of the content,
Yeah.
and it feels like this feels like two things that aren't really going together. And I feel like something has just been sewn on top of this, right?
Yeah.
That's actually propaganda. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what you can see when you see like leftist progressive media messages that get put into things and you go, come on, man. And it's also the
Yeah.
same feeling that you have when you're watching a Christian show and then all of a sudden somebody just like starts specifically quoting the Bible and just going, that doesn't happen in
Yeah.
conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody doesn't all of a sudden start like verbatim saying the Sermon on the Mount to prove
Yeah.
their point in an argument, and the other person goes, "You're right, I'm saved," right?
My
Like
arguments are all done.
it's you got me, thank you, right? So it's
Oh
right.
man.
So
Yeah.
that's the deal, because those two issues I'm talking about that, and so
Yeah.
that's what we're called to as Christian artists. That's what we're called to as Christian artists. We're called to as Christian artists. What are the things that we're creating
Yeah.
speak to that authentic, true things that pluck the strings of the heart, that cause people to start thinking, but that the message of Christ is also throughout it, is
Yeah.
there and is in it, right? And it's in it authentically. It's in it
Yes.
authentically,
Yeah. Oh
realistically,
man.
because people can smell it. People can smell it a mile away and just kind of go, what the, right?
Uh-huh.
So listen,
I
I
love
got to
that.
wrap it up, but there's a couple things I want to say before we go.
Mhm.
Here comes us putting our money where our mouth is. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to put you on the spot here. How many more of those little Instagram voiceover things do you think you can do by the time that we meet 2 weeks from now?
Oh, by the time we meet 2 weeks from now? Okay. So let's be realistic. Um, I can 100% live life and easily do one every other day. I might be able to get away with doing one a day. But I think more realistic is one every other day, so that I have enough time to write a script that I actually approve, rather than just writing gibberish to
So
voice.
let me throw out something to you. I'm going to make it like super easy.
Okay.
Would it be possible for you to have at least 4 more of those done
Yeah.
2 weeks from now? Okay. So if you
Yeah.
were to just do 4 more, how many would that put it total with the ones that you've already done?
7 now, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
could you at least get 4 more done? And
Yeah.
by the time that we meet 2 weeks from now, could you, and message me on the side if this isn't correct,
Okay.
could you at least investigate Upwork or Fiverr or maybe another
Yeah.
site that would do that stuff? And can you at least get a general profile for yourself together? Okay.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
So that's the challenge to you. So the challenge to you is to at least get 4 more of those Instagram voiceover things done,
Yeah.
and to at least get a profile established on a job site that would be like Upwork or Fiverr or something where you could start putting your work out in the world. Do you think you could do that?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So you're going to do that. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to make a commitment to in front of our audience right now. I've been continually talking about my social media presence on locals.com. Okay. Now, you're probably seeing this on YouTube, or I let people know on Facebook or Instagram. That's awesome. I'm eventually trying to get people over towards kevingregg.locals.com, because that's eventually going to be a monetary stream that will help to support these things, but I'm going to be offering different content. So I've talked about this. One of the offerings that I want to offer is going to be a multi-part video that's going to be about things that I personally use when I am trying to select a certain project, if I'm going to work on it. Okay. So this is going to be a multi-video. This is going to be a multi-video lessons and sessions on what are things I use as parameters for myself when I'm getting ready to do a project. My hope is that if you see these videos, that you can either steal what I'm doing or use it as a jumping off point for yourself to go, oh, I need to put my own parameters for a project. Now, I've talked about making these videos for a while, and I have to make my first one, which will probably be, I don't know, it could be like 10 or 15 minutes long. It could be shorter. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm going to have my first video by the time that you and I get together to record next time. I'm going to have my first video up and available over at locals.com, kevingregg.locals.com. And Patrick, if I don't have it ready by the time that we get together 2 weeks from now, you're getting $50 from me, my friend.
Whoa.
You're getting $50. So I think it's like a win-win. It could be like a win, like a and a win. But
Yeah.
here's the deal. If I don't have my first video up by the time that we record 2 weeks from now, you're getting $50 from me.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I love it.
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I would offer the same thing, but I'd need to talk to my wife about it first. I will do this.
Yeah.
Though.
What's a thing that would be like,
I was going to say I'll make you a burrito, but that doesn't really take anything from me that
no.
incentivizes
Is there
me.
something that you really, here, watch this, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to watch me extort Patrick on this thing. Is there a certain book that you really like that you would just go, oh gosh, I don't want to part with that, or something that would be just like, oh, right?
Yes.
Now listen, it has to be something that says value to me, man.
Yeah.
So I get right.
100%.
Is there something that you just thought of right now?
Well, the one that I thought of is a book that I'm in the middle of reading, and I'm like, no, I need to finish that book. I'm like,
what's your book that you're reading?
It's from the Stormlight Archives. I don't know if you've heard of Brandon Sanderson.
No, I haven't. Say it again. What's the name of it?
The Stormlight Archives. So this is actually book 4. The Rhythm of War is the name of it. Okay. It's a 1,200-page book. Okay. It's the 4th in a series of 4 1,200-page books, and it's this amazing in-depth universe that I'd really love to be part of, the cinematic universe.
Okay, got it. Okay, now listen, hold on. Yeah. So you're in the middle of that one. Now, do you have all of the series? Is that what you have? And you have all the series?
I have most of the series. Okay. I might have rented 1 or 2 of them on my journey reading them.
So here's the deal. Deal. I guess I'm going to put you on. I'll put you on the spot, Patrick. If you don't have those other 4, if you don't have those other 4 videos done or some profile up, I think unfortunately you're going to have to put that book into a UPS and send it to me.
I agree.
Okay. Okay.
But this is good. This is good because it's not going to happen because I'm going to do those videos.
That's it. Because I think it'd be more beneficial for me to see your videos than to get your book, but that's okay. So now you've got it on this video. So as you see, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we got to put these things in to go, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's the deal. 2 weeks from now, I've got my first video up on kevingregg.locals.com, or you get $50. Yeah. 2 weeks from now, when we record the next time, you've got 4 of your videos and at least a profile that's up on something. Send me a message if it's not going to be Upwork or Fiverr. Oh, sorry about that. Just knocked my headphones out. But yeah, just let me know if it's not going to be on Upwork or Fiverr. We'll find another place where we can put it up so you're out in the market. If that's not done, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to put your book into a UPS thing and send it down to me. So
oh, I'm going to cry. It'll be great. It'll be good. I'm motivated.
Right. Very good. Patrick Quinn, amazing. Please let people know you can find him on Instagram at Rick Quinn, right? Say it again. How do you spell it?
Rick Quinn. So it's RIKKWIN. I came up with that in junior high, and I thought I was very clever because Patrick Quinn. So it's Rick Quinn, just spelled really mangled.
So head over to Instagram at Rick Quinn. See some of these videos that he's been working on. Patrick, always a pleasure, my friend. I'm going to end it for both of us right now, but let's talk back and forth email wise. And there you go. Hey, if you liked this video, please do me a favor. Please like and subscribe to the Kevin Gregg Show. If you like what Patrick was talking about and you want to share this with a friend, go ahead and do so. You can really help us out. You can take a look down below to follow me in different social media outlets. And you can also follow me at kevingregg.com. I think I'll have future reward things, Patrick, that I'll have to make. Look at you. You're gonna get rich as I start if I don't make my certain windows. So.
Perfect. And I'm gonna finish that book series fast.
Don't finish the book series at the expense of your videos, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We truly do appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Thanks so much, Patrick. I'm going to end it for both of us. You guys have a great day. God bless everybody.
God bless. Bye.
Bye now.